We're back on Get Up, and I assume you saw this yesterday. Philip Rivers' 16-year run with the Chargers has officially come to an end. The team and the quarterback jointly announcing that decision. The general manager, Tom Telesco, said the timing of the announcement will, quote, allow everyone to put themselves in the best position for success in 2020. We understand what that means for the team. What does it mean for Rivers? He told the LA Times, quote, I can say for certain that if I'm playing, it's a 2-year maximum. Whoever the suitors are, I think that would be their hope as well, because you never know how it goes. Shoot, if we stink it up after 1 year, I'm probably done. If we play really good, they'll probably want to go again. So it feels like there's a couple of things to be said here. I suppose his future is the place to start. Do we believe he is an NFL starting quarterback week 1, 2020?
First of all, I love that quote. Second of all, I think he is. The problem with that is it's going to come down to 1 or 2 teams. I don't want to steal Bobby's thunder here, but he had a great call about the Colts. Like, that feels like a really good fit. That's one of 32 teams. If the Colts, for some reason, decide to go in a different direction, all of a sudden, is Philip Rivers still a starter in the league? I don't know. There's not that many options.
Why do you like the Colts, Bob?
Because if you look at this, it's all about fit. And guys who have played together, they've coached together, like, do they have weapons? Is their window to win now? Philip Rivers, Frank Reich was on the staff with him in San Diego when they were back the San Diego Chargers. And they've got an offensive line that can protect. Philip Rivers, not unlike very similar to Tom Brady, is a statue back there. And so he needs protection. Yeah. That was one of the main issues with him this year, is when you begin moving these guys around, they're not nearly as effective or as efficient from the pocket. And so you do that, you give them some weapons, you have a great defense, you're in a dome, you play in the South, like all of these things, I think, square up well for a guy like Philip.
So to that point, though, is he a starter in the league? Like, it's fascinating that Tom Brady, the greatest of all time, doesn't have 32 teams coming after him. Why is that? Because teams either feel like they're building toward the future or they feel like they have their franchise guy in place. There's not that many teams that are looking for just a 2-year guy to come in and maybe win right now.
And let's not forget, Philip did struggle mightily this year. He was not very good at all. But if you go back 2 years, they were contending with the Chiefs. Like, they were battling with them as a chance to win the AFC West. So I think if you give him that offensive line and you protect him, he can be that guy again for you for only a year or 2. He is very self-aware.
I love that.
He's not playing for 4 or 5 years. Give me 1 or 2, and maybe you bring him in, you let him compete with Jacoby Brissett. I don't think he would be opposed to that.
Yeah, another team that people have thrown out maybe as another team would be Tampa Bay, potentially depending on what they do with Jameis Winston. Mm-hmm. Where do you guys think he fits in the Hall of Fame conversation?
Goodness, this is tough because if you look even at his own class, you've got Eli Manning, you've got Ben Roethlisberger, both of those guys, multiple Super Bowl winners. Philip Rivers, he has the best stats out of all of them. But we weight things so heavily on winning Super Bowls that if you don't have those, you have to be markedly better than just about anyone else in your generation. And I don't know if Philip Rivers is that.
Okay. So that's why I was looking at my phone. I didn't know we made a full screen of it. Hembo texted me this list earlier.
There we go.
That's the reason that I was going to read it. These are the quarterbacks who were in the Hall of Fame who never won the championship.
That's a good list.
If you're going to compare his career to those, I think he probably fits in last. I think he is 7th on that list of 7 people. That said, I believe he's a Hall of Famer. That's my opinion. If I had to bet on it right now, I would bet that he will make it into the Hall of Fame. Not easily or immediately, but I think he will get in.
Wasn't everybody on that list in the Hall of Fame? I didn't make it all the way through.
That's the point of it. Those were the 6 quarterbacks who are in the Hall of Fame that didn't win a championship.
But those guys, a lot of them had been to Super Bowls. Philip Rivers has not been to the Super Bowl. And I always like to use the qualification, were you one of the best 2 or 3 guys of your era for 3 to 4 years? And I don't know if you can get there with Philip Rivers.
It'll be an interesting question, and it's one they'll be debating in a room somewhere at some point. In the meantime, we'll see if he winds up playing 1 more year.
You know what I hate? I hate Twitter. Tweet this, Facebook that.
Social media doesn't count at all. Twitter doesn't count at all.
I don't have internet. I don't have Twitter.
I don't read the damn paper. I don't read Twitter. I don't go on Facebook.
Are we on Snapface there when we were talking about
the Twidiots? That's just how people are.
When you tweet all that stuff out, don't press in.
That frickin' Twitter. I'm sick of it.
Didn't win, but if you look at it.
So time for a new segment that we're debuting right now on Get Up. It's called That Frickin' Twitter. And for the record, I agree with all of those very smart people talking about Twitter. Joel Embiid is the subject of this one. He's getting back to his old self. Sunday versus the Bulls, after being booed in the 3rd quarter, Embiid made an emphatic dunk. Then you saw him signaling that shush to the Philly home crowd. Not once, but twice. Okay, so then Embiid takes to Instagram on Monday, posting this photo of himself shushing the crowd and quoting The Dark Knight. You either die a hero or live long enough to see yourself become the villain. Hashtag the process. Of course, Jimmy Butler, his former teammate, took notice and replied, I know a place where villains are welcome. Of course, Butler right now with the Heat. To which Embiid then replied, dang right, my brother. So Embiid went on Twitter as this continued and later in the night and said, made for this. If I can take it, then you can too. Feel it tough. Hashtag all love. So seems like a little backtrack there for Joel Embiid. But as we continue with that freaking Twitter, Sean Farnham, what did you think of this?
I'm just honored that you guys selected me to be the inaugural person to be standing next to you during this segment. Well, what stands out to me is shushing fans in Philadelphia has never worked. It's not going to start working now. Responding on social media, you have to be smart. You have to be mature in how you allow yourself to be exposed in the public forum. And then to all of a sudden try to backtrack to soften it doesn't help out that much either. And to me, this just shows someone that's having a good time right now, not understanding, though, how it will be taken publicly, which shows a lack of maturity, which I think plays into some of the lack of leadership that we're seeing overall for the Philadelphia 76ers and their struggles.
I see it differently, to be honest with you. You know, we spent a week and a half ago, Laura, we were with Baker Mayfield and everyone psychoanalyzing him and all that kind of stuff. And at the end of the day, you can adapt, you can evolve, but at the end of the day, you are who you are. This is who Joel Embiid is. Joel Embiid is shushing the fans in his own arena because they were booing him, and that's either going to work or it's not. Are you telling me that that is the difference between Embiid being whatever it is we would like him to eventually be or not?
You can be exactly who you are, and I agree with you. Even going back to his earlier years, he used to use social media all the time to take shots at other people and go after them. That is who he is. That's fine. Okay, but when you're talking about the process and trying to win a championship and watching this team perform right now, this is not a team that is meeting the expectations that were set forth for them going back to last July.
Right.
I mentioned this yesterday. 4 players on this team with $100 million contracts. When they're on the floor together, they're -3 on the season. That's not good enough. That's not getting the process to the end result. And eventually the process has to change to the result.
Okay, so when you think about, obviously, why they're having these struggles, a lot of people say it's because Jimmy Butler's not there. What do you make of the Jimmy Butler piece of this, his comment back to Joel Embiid?
Look, I
think having fun?
Jimmy's having fun. And look, we've seen this all the time in the NBA where players will openly say, hey, come play with me. Come be a part of this. And people want to go, is that tampering? No, it's the relationships a lot of these guys have. Obviously, they have a previous relationship that goes back to last season in Philadelphia.
It begs the question. Because it came up last week. I'll ask it to you. If they do decide after this year that this dynamic duo that we have here, to go back to a Dark Knight reference, of Embiid and Simmons, isn't going to work long term, we have to move one. Which one are you keeping?
Right now, I would keep Ben Simmons. I think because of the fact that you're dealing with a player that has missed more games than he's actually played, who is going to be on the floor most for you? Who are you going to get the most out of? It's not that Joel Embiid isn't talented enough. He is. But the same concerns that we've had from day one of playing at Kansas, missing time at Kansas, to now missing time in the NBA, they're ever present. And if I'm going to make an investment, I want somebody that I know that I can count on a night in, night out basis when you're talking about 82 games over the course of a regular season and then the postseason after that.
I will continue to say I will take Embiid because, and I'm the only one saying it, but like most geniuses, I won't be fully appreciated until after my time.
Oh, yeah.
All right, Farnham, let's run the floor. D'Angelo Russell, 22 points, 5 assists in his T-Wolves debut. It wasn't enough to cool off the red-hot Raptors, who won their 15th straight. Is Toronto the biggest threat to Milwaukee in the East?
No, I don't think that they are. I think Boston still will be the biggest threat. I think you have to put into context that this 15-game win streak is happening against one of the weakest overall schedules over a 15-game stretch that we've ever seen in the NBA. That doesn't take away the fact that they've won 15 consecutive games, but it doesn't put them to the point where you're talking about the Milwaukee Bucks.
The Warriors honored Andre Iguodala before his first game back in the Bay Area last night. What kind of impact do you see him having on the Heat?
I think he's going to have a solid impact. I think a lot more of the intangibles that you're going to look for him. I don't know how productive he's going to be. We've seen in the first couple of games, he's breaking off some of that rust from the extended period of time off. I think Jay Crowder's going to have more of an impact on the court for this team. Obviously, much better than we even anticipated because of Jimmy Butler's ability to impact the Heat this year and put him in position to get in the playoffs.
Zion missed a game with an ankle, says he's ready to go now. He was a full participant in practice. How cautious do they need to be with him?
I think you cannot be cautious enough with Zion Williamson. You need to nurse him through this first year. You need to continue to work on his overall fitness level and allow him to have longevity because it's a long-term process. The Pelicans with Zion right now are not a team that's going to compete with the Clippers, the Lakers, the Nuggets, the Jazz. So if that's not the case, then try to get into the playoffs with him, but try to nurse him through this year and make sure you have a bright future.
We will continue. The NFL has seen its fair share of officiating controversies. I'll tell you why the XFL may have the solution for them next.